marker in the page.
Well, we just want to make it sure it's efficient, that we're running an efficient
Absolutely.
ship, and the dollars that are going to the scholarships are reaching the intended, population.
I think that's the whole point. We want to present this each year to show you that your investment is paying off, of course, but it's paying off for our students, which is the really, really important part. And I want to say, you're just seeing the figures here, but the foundation board members and Karen do a really great job. We talked about Peggy McLean, our angel sponsor, but they really do a wonderful job in terms of cultivation now of folks and really forming camaraderie and responding. I just got through writing out personal notes for Thanksgiving cards to our major donors, etc. And so we're doing a lot of things we didn't do before, and that's from the leadership of the board and Karen.
You did. You did. Okay, great.
Yeah, you guys are doing a great job, and this is excellent to see these numbers, and thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
Which thing was that? So
Ari?
you're,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Bart. Go ahead.
I'm just curious, Karen, I'm assuming you meet with your counterparts across the state and across the country. Is there any discussion, or is anybody talking about if in fact tuition becomes free for community colleges? Is anybody talking about how that could possibly impact foundations, not only in Illinois, but like if there's free tuition, why would people give money for scholarships?
The closest place that and the thing that, first of all, I would just like to be able to say, it has been a joy to be a part of the Northern Illinois Community College Consortium of Executive Directors and VPs of Advancement. I have not ever experienced in my career a group that so willingly shares and helps each other out. It is just absolutely a brand new experience for me, and I'm very grateful for it. The closest conversation, to answer your question, that we are experiencing is the Harper Promise. Okay, and the Harper Promise is saying for the class of freshmen who are coming in from high school this year, they're promised free tuition if they meet a certain very stringent set of criteria, but that's as close as the conversation. And as a matter of fact, the Harper Promise is on the agenda for the foundation board to be able to talk through, along with Dr. Weber has got us talking about it at the cabinet level to say, is this something that we ought to consider, and what are the costs and the ramifications for doing it at CLC?
Can you recall
So that thought process then leads me down the road, if in fact we ever come to a point where we are providing free tuition, then that money would actually then come from the foundation?
No, well, I don't know. At the Harper, how they're doing it is that $5 million is coming from Harper, and they're in the process of launching a campaign to raise an additional $5 million. Okay, and what we don't know yet is, okay, so $10 million, how long is that going to last, given the model, and that's something that we're going to be working through.
But
And
I
that's all I
think
know.
here's the question. I think if we got to a point where, let's say, they passed free tuition, even nationally or the state or whatever, there is still a lot of unmet need. When we calculate financial aid for our students, there's millions of dollars, literally, of unmet needs. And one of the things we decided to do, and we talked a little bit in the planning meeting about targeted scholarships, and Dr. Haney's kind of led on this with Karen and that, is really looking at how we could target that money for that unmet need. And so I think there'll still be that, but it will be a different environment once if tuition were free.
Let me just offer this as you're having conversations with your peers, and as the foundation board members meet with other foundation board members. I certainly understand the unmet need portion for our students, but I also know that there are many endowed scholarships that we currently have that specifically say they're for tuition and books only. And so I guess maybe all I'm saying is maybe put this on your radar screen for some possible impact that it would have on fundraising if in fact free tuition does become available.
That's a really good point. Thank you.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a very good point.
especially endowed. You
Yeah,
should be
and the
thinking of
endowed
that
part.
in
That's a
terms of
really good point.
as you bring up endowed scholarships.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have questions about the recipient. I have questions about the 509 students with the 900 and change being spread across the 500 students. I have a couple questions. I know we have the Changing Lives campaign, so we're talking about significant gifts to individuals. So I want to know if you can tell me, like, say compared to a year ago, if we gave out scholarships to 509 students this year, like what were we doing before? And if you can tell me generally about what kind of gifts were given out. Then, my next question has to do with something Yesenia talked about that she learned at the conference about maybe trying to think about an emergency fund. Have we ever thought about any kind of like short-term money being available in small amounts for students when they find themselves like in a temporary situation where they're really at a loss?
Yeah, it was basically like a loan program run through the foundation that was like, if a student needed some emergency cash, then the foundation could provide it, and it was provided by donors, and so that money would be repaid by the student, and it would just circulate back and forth.
Right, so in the update, we provided that, and I was gonna summarize it again here, but I didn't, but we've actually had an emergency loan, but it's not even a loan.
It's not a
just-
loan, it's a
It's an
grant.
emergency program for students for a long time.
Probably 15 or 20
Yeah,
years,
15
if
or
not
20
longer.
years.
And we have roughly $45,000 set aside through various pods that students can access when they run into emergencies.
Did you know
Oh,
about that? No?
No.
Okay. She's our student trustee and she
Yeah.
doesn't know.
Right,
So maybe we need to do more about like.
well,
Did you read it in the most recent update?
No, I didn't.
Because it is in the update.
well, but
the students don't
Jean's
read the
correct.
update.
No, well, I
but she
know.
can pass the information.
Well, I
We'll do a
mean,
better
wait
job
a
of
minute.
We're
yeah.
gonna do a better, no, we agree, we
Yeah.
talked about this.
Yeah.
We have the process in place, we're gonna do a better job of making students aware of it. Although the process now is they come in with this need and then we tell them about it. So it is an emergency, but we'll do some more to publicize it so they're aware.
Right,
If they have an emergency.
because if they don't even know
Yeah.
that this is an avenue that they can follow, given the fact that they have an emergency, I mean, they can clearly have an emergency and feel like
Yeah,
they're
right,
at
and
their
just,
wit's end and they have no
And
choice.
just drop out, right?
But let's go back to your questions about my question about the 509 students and 509 students and now the 900 million compared to what we did before. Are we doing the larger gifts? Are we
Yes.
going ahead with that campaign?
Yes, as a matter of fact, in fiscal year 2015, 509 students received 909,223. In fiscal year 2014, that number is 606, and it went to 520 students. So I don't have the math right off the top of my head, but we had more students, less money in fiscal year 14. And last year in 15, we had more money and fewer students, about the same, but fewer students. So we're making that progress. The same thing is in terms of the awarding that's happening in fiscal year 2016.
What are the larger gifts?
I think that we're going to see when we do this report for fiscal year 16, that the number of students is going to go down, and you will see that the number is going to be at about that number with the number of students going down, so the gifts are going to be larger. The gifts are larger.
So I mean, it's a intentional decision to make the Changing Lives campaign. I get that. But then I guess then it makes me think that this concept of some kind of a stopgap or emergency might have more of a relevance because some people may be in situations where they didn't need a huge gift, but they need something in order
Sure.
to survive.
And we'll continue to monitor how our funds are allocated each year, these emergency funds. And should we need to increase it, we have the ability in working with the foundation to say, we need to bump up this category because now with the foundation, how the foundation and college work here, the foundation raises the money and then the college is making some determinations about how that money is going to be spent. And again, the focus has been on scholarships. But when we see a need, we may go to the foundation and say, here's a new place that we're going to spend it, and here's why, and then I'll report back to the foundation as to that.
I have a question.
Anything else?
Yeah, how is the foundation board using technology or on the online community or social media? Do you see any changes or do you foresee any changes in social media being used to attract donors or funds?
The answer to your question is in the philanthropic world, the way that we use social media is to be able to create awareness. The way that we currently are using social media in terms of online giving, we have an online giving, and what I'm noticing is that the number of gifts that we've received online has increased versus what we used to have before in the past. But are we going to be able to do, for our type of philanthropy, our type of philanthropy is still a face-to-face type of philanthropy, and the percentage increase that we will see from gifts raised through social media may be high, but the number of gifts year over year is going to be small, and the dollar amount of those gifts are going to be small. Okay, that's where we see it. So we see that you have to have a bar, a minimum bar, but it's not going to be where I'm going to raise $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 gifts.
You're gonna be face to face.
It's going to be face-to-face. It's a face-to-face business.
Okay, if there aren't any other questions, these are great questions and good responses. Thanks, Karen, good report.
Yeah, just one
Thank you.
note though, Chris and Joanne, thank you for coming,
Yeah,
by the
yeah.
way. And I like your long-term goals of $1 million annually every year and the endowment of $2 million by the year 2020. I've looked at other foundation numbers of other community colleges, and we're definitely, even though starting a little bit behind the ball, we're catching up when you look at a lot of community colleges who have no endowment fund whatsoever. Those numbers, so thank you all very much. And Karen, I do think you want to recognize Jean, Vice Chair, and Phil for being the board liaisons as well. to
yeah.
the
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Dr. Kerrigan and Jean, thank you very much for your participation as board liaisons on the foundation board. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of other schools and community colleges are envious of the Drake Hotel and all the good press we got along the North Shore and other places as well. I heard a lot of good comments about that. Of course, it was a lovely, lovely evening, so thank you very much.
It was a record-setting event.
Yep, definitely was.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That concludes my report.